Hello and welcome to the channel Peaceful Rebellion. Here we are with Harmz, also known as Ethereal Wings. Yeah. What's your surname, Harmz, by the way?
My surname? Saini, Saini.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
people say Insani, but yeah, it's a
Okay.
Saini.
Okay. So Harmz is here because we're going to have a chat about what she does, the work that she does, and we've worked together. She's taken me through her processes, which were very beautiful, and we'll talk about that as well. Yeah. So Harmz, give us an overview. Who are you? Where are you? And what are you all about?
So my name is Harmz. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and wow, I think I've been on this spiritual journey for about, 10 to 15 years now, and it's really accelerated, as it has with a lot of people over the last 2 to 3 years. So yeah, I had a pretty major dark night of the soul about 15 years ago, which caused me to nearly die. I'll be pretty honest about it. And it was that turning point for me where my teacher came into my life, my spiritual mentor, and that was it. The rest was history. So yeah, she introduced me to my spiritual journey. All the teachers, all the shamanic elders that I know, I was introduced to by her. Pretty much everything that I know, my mentor taught me. She's very shamanic in the way that she works. So yeah, so doing a lot of work on myself over the last number of years, and I've always known that I've wanted to help people, and I never knew how I could do that or in which way that I could structure that. But yeah, I came across the modality that I work with about, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And then I thought, okay, I've got to start my own business. I've got to, start helping people, because that was the calling for me. So yeah, so that's a brief overview of my journey.
Cool. And so the process that you use, the techniques that you use, what are they called?
Yeah, so the modality is called Sacred Source Healing. And it's a very powerful modality which uses sacred geometry, which uses the client's higher self. So the Ankh pyramid, which is this symbol over here behind me, this is what we pretty much transmute any issue into a state of unconditional love. So basically, I take the client through a visualization, and they have to face the issue. So this is a little bit scary, I think, for people that are pretty new to the journey, because in order for us to release and transmute the issue that we're facing, we have to actually face it. So
Absolutely.
so we transmute it using this symbol here, and at the same time they repeat what's called the sacred protocols. So they're very powerful affirmations which reprogram your subconscious mind after you've done the transmuting. So yeah, it's very transformative. It's very powerful. Clients have had pretty much centuries worth of trauma released and healed certain layers anyway, because as we know, the healing never ends. So yeah, it's been really powerful. I've seen, and you've probably seen the same thing too, Gordon, people's actual physical features changing from before to after the session because they've released so much. So yeah, so that's Sacred Source Healing, and it's absolutely amazing to work with.
Okay. And is that, are there many people using that process around the world?
As in running this modality?
Yeah.
So I think when I did the course, it was 11 people who turned up that day. So, and each one of us, works it in a different way.
Sure.
As an example, a healer that I know here in Melbourne, she uses it with animals. So she's an animal communicator. So she uses Sacred Source Healing with animals. And I think they all tend to sort of weave it into their modalities.
Yeah.
And each one does it a different way. But yeah, 11 of us. And yeah, I just can't speak highly enough of it. And more recently, I've been incorporating your hypnotherapy
Yeah.
techniques into it. So it's just blown up in terms of how much clients can actually release.
Sure.
So
Yeah. And when you did the process with me, it was very hypnotic anyway. It's a hypnotic process.
yeah,
I noticed I was in very deep hypnosis. So I suppose if you formally are going to induce a trance as well, that's going to be even more powerful. Yeah.
yeah,
The just so you know, Harmz did a process on me, which was some things I had to release from the past and everything. And the process itself is very gentle. I like it. It's a very gentle process, but as you say, it makes you have to face up to these things. You have to look at them and feel them and everything like that. Tell me about look. Got an ant.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize you had that. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Tell me the what's the Yang about? The Yang pyramid. What's that about? Where's it come from?
So basically, my friend who taught us this modality, she was sitting by the poolside in Bali. She was on holiday, and she was told by her guides, okay, run inside, grab some pen and paper, and we're going to give you, we're going to download to you a course, and you've got to teach this to people so that it can get out there. Because I think this was just a couple of years prior to, what's happened over the last few years. And obviously it was time for it to come out into the world. So yeah, so she was given all the symbols, she was given all the protocols, all the affirmations, and the Ankh pyramid is actually a physical representation of our higher selves. So when I'm going through the process with a client, the power is all with them. I'm really just facilitating the process. So through the Ankh pyramid, we can actually visualize our issues being transmuted up through sacred souls and then back down again. And when it comes back down, it's completely transmuted, and it activates your DNA. It goes into your entire body system. So it's using your higher self and your healing, your own healing, to heal your own body, to heal your own DNA. So this is probably what I love most about it, because it's not me controlling the process. I'm merely just guiding the person through, and that's the way I think a healing modality should be. The power is completely with the client.
Absolutely. I think, the biggest mistake we can make is think that we are the ones that are curing our clients. It's absolutely not. They're doing the work. Yeah. We're just a guide. Yeah. Okay, super. So you're open for business. Yeah. You're taking clients. Yeah.
I am.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the video information all of the links that you need to be able to contact Harmz and talk to her about arranging something if you fancy being transmuted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything
Absolutely.
Transmuted. I like that word. I've used that word since you used it, because you use it a lot in the process. I've noticed that word keeps coming out in my language now. Transmute. I like it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so incredible, because at the same time, what I've noticed in doing the work in the last year is that I kind of improvise as well. So I'm actually in sessions, I'm actually getting downloads for other guided meditations. And it's interesting because a lot of it is what you teach as well, Gordon. So I was like, I already do this. So I'm just going to refine a technique here or there,
Sure.
Yeah. So what's been really powerful the last possibly, I think, 6 months is that people have been going back to see the soul lessons that they actually came here for. And that's just really just blown it out of the water, because when they can make that connection with the suffering that they're going through, that's massive healing in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the biggest lessons for us to learn, I think, is that it's taking responsibility for where you are and being here and understanding that you wrote this script. You wrote the script, and of course we get here and we forget about that, and then we want to blame everything else, and it's poor me. And once you realize that actually, no, this is my script that I'm running, it makes it so much easier, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And you know, I actually did a life between lives regression quite a number of years ago. It was the modality that I think it was Dr. Brian Weiss.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That he came up with. So I found a practitioner here in Melbourne, and it was a long process, but it was just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So I got to see some of the contracts and the lessons that I came here for. So, you know, I think when a lot of people hear that, they think, oh, you know, well, I didn't choose this particular, you know, abuse, or, you know, I didn't choose my father to abandon me. But it's not about blaming anyone. It's actually just seeing that, you know, we are souls that maybe we're 15, 20,000 years old, but we come here and, you know, this is for our soul evolution. And it's such a beautiful and transformative process when you can make that connection. It's like, oh, you know, that's why my father abandoned me, or that's why my mother abused me, because I came here to learn self-love or healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's so incredibly powerful.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So, how long? So we've, if you're interested, information in the video notes. So I wanted to kind of just change track a little bit and ask you a couple of things. So how long would you say you have been awake to what's happening?
I think partially awake gradually over the last maybe 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how much I can say because it's going to go on YouTube. But,
obviously, just you know, don't use any hot words. But,
yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely accelerated over the last 3 years. I think I knew pretty early on, in 2019, I think this all started.
Yeah.
I knew pretty early on that there was something not right. So yeah, it's definitely gone from here to up here in terms of the awakening process.
Sure. And what would be one of the first things that you were kind of waking up to, you know, this 5-7 years ago? What did you see?
Well, I was diagnosed with a bone condition. I can't remember. It was the year after that my grandmother passed away. I have osteoporosis, and I was diagnosed with that. And I remember the specialist that I paid hundreds of dollars for putting me on pretty hardcore medication. You know, it cost me $50 for the packet, and I came home, and at the time I was living in a townhouse, and I took one pill, and I realized that I couldn't walk because my bones were hurting.
Wow.
My whole body was actually in pain, and I had ulcers, you know, all down my esophagus, in my mouth. And I actually had to call my mum over to help me down the stairs because I was like an old lady, like I just couldn't walk. So anyway, I ended up doing some research, which I probably should have done before I took it, but it was like esophagus cancer, you know, the side effects, esophagus cancer, your jawbone disintegrating. And I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, that packet went out the window. So, you know, then I realized, okay, well, those people that make these medications obviously can't be trusted. So there was more research into that. I knew about the financial system. You know, I think I was pretty well versed in that for quite a lot of those years. But yeah, nothing prepared me for what was to come.
Sure.
And yeah, I knew there was something horribly wrong with the world even back then, but we just didn't know how wrong.
And so do you live with your partner? Is that right?
No, I live alone at the moment.
Okay. I was just going to ask whether your partner was awake, but okay. So what's your feel? Look, you're working with an energy, a source energy process. You're receiving downloads, you know, and you know, if we went back 5 years, 10 years, when people were saying, like you and I, well, actually, you know, I have my guides and they speak to me, we'd be, you know, people would think we were crazy. Now it's like very normal. I mean, you know, the help is coming in massive waves. What's your what's your feel for the future? Where do you see us in, you know, in a year, in a couple of years' time? What do you think is going to happen?
Wow. Well, I think, you know, what's happened over the last 2 to 3 years has really, or really should have, brought us back to ourselves. And I think this is where we're going to be heading. It's like, you know, we're going to have to do the inner work, because if we don't, then the universe is going to kick us up the bum, which it's, you know, if it's done numerous times to me over the last year or so. So if you're not actively doing the work, then you're going to have to be made to do that. But yeah, look, I think there are going to be certain challenges around the world, and possibly more of those. But I think for the ones that are awakening, we're going to be in that transition period where we're going to be creating new ways. You know, there's going to be more of the natural medicine protocols coming back. There's going to be more communities. Like I'm actually really seeing that, because it's already starting in our network. It's not going to come without its challenges. And sure. I think what's sort of really, what I really feel over the last even 4 or 5 months is that we really shouldn't be waiting for something to happen, because we're the ones that are going to be creating that. And I feel that too many people are still maybe stuck in that space where, you know, okay, let's wait for certain equipment or, you know, technology to come so that we can get better. But no, I think it's ultimately up to us and how much work that we do to raise that vibration and ultimately get to that space where we can live as a community, just like we did many years ago. So yeah, that's absolutely where I see it going.
Yeah. One of the just lately, the emissaries, that when they've been feeding me information, it's completely changed. They've completely changed the tack, and it's all about now. All the focus is on everybody needs to deal with the shadow side. They need to embrace it. You know, change the way that we view the ego. Help the ego to become an ally. And it's all about this so that we can become whole again, you know. But one of the things that they keep saying, they repeat it, is stop trying to be 5D when you're living in a 3D. You know, stop putting yourself under this massive pressure. And I think what I've seen is that, and it's not the fault of anything, it's just part of our process. But we went through a phase where it was very important to be, you know, totally zen and above it all and out of this, you know, and I think that maybe helped us, but I don't think it's going to help us now, because as you say, we're getting to a very hands-on process now, where it's going to be, it's down to us. We are the people on this earth, you know, and so I think exactly. we have to embrace 3D and make 3D into a paradise, if you know what I mean. And I think that's what brings those higher dimensions. We've got to be in balance in this place instead of wishing for something beyond, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, one of the most important things that my teacher actually taught me is to be grounded, because for so long I wanted to come out of my body. So, you know, she was always reminding me, Harmz, you've got to ground yourself, you've got to ground yourself, and you've got to be real, you know, keep it real, because we get, you know, this is something else that I've noticed in the spiritual community as well, that we get too caught up with the labels, you know, with certain ways of being. You know, I you know, do try to keep what I put into my body in moderation, but I will eat something, you know, a bar of chocolate or, you know, a hot jam donut or something if I'm craving it. Like, I'm not going to be so strict on myself that I'm miserable, and you know, that's just going to raise or decrease my vibration. So it's about keeping it real, and it's about having fun and just letting go in the process, because if we take it too seriously, then I think the future is going to elude us, and what we're hoping for is going to elude us as well. And we're the ones that we're creating that, and let's have some fun. Like, I know there's challenges, and we've all been through that, we're all going through that, but surround yourself with the people that make you happy, that make you laugh, because ultimately that's going to bring in those beautiful creation energies which we need moving forward.
Yeah, I agree entirely. What I'm aware of is that the tool that the dark has, the baddies, is to keep us fearful. And so one of the biggest strengths that we can have is to be able to laugh at what's happening. As you say, not take it too seriously, laugh at it. And this is something that I'm starting to see as well. This is another shift that I'm seeing, where so many people, and not just our awakened community, but the other community, starting to laugh at what's happening. You know, the amount of memes that I've seen of Klaus Schwab. I mean, he's a character that you could laugh at, and Mr. Gates is another character you can laugh at. And I think that takes all of the sting out of who they are. The whole idea is that you've got to be scared of the boogeyman. But if you're laughing at the boogeyman and you're painting a mustache on him, then the boogeyman's not scary anymore. And I think this is where we need to be. It's like rising above that fear and just staying in the higher frequency of love. That's where we want to get to, isn't it?
Exactly. And that reminds me of our session as well. Something so scary and so traumatic, you've got to make a character out of it, because that takes the fear out of it, and fear is what they want, and fear is something that we're not going to give them. So we've been through so much, and I lost my day job in late 2021. So it's been a ride for me, and as I know that it has been for many people. But are we going to let them keep us down, keep our vibration down? And
I believe that above all, we are their focus, much more than the people who haven't woken up yet. The people who are awake, they need to keep us as scared as possible. And so lots of the info that comes, they know that we're going to share it. Bad news, about what they're going to do and what they're going to make us eat and all of that. So we are the ones that are sharing it and going, oh my God. So we've got to be careful not to allow them to help us, to get our vibe down. We've got to stay above that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, even though as much as I wanted to relax towards the end of last year, the universe had other plans for me. It was like, just create, put together the programs and put together the courses and just have fun. In our mentoring group, we share spiritual memes all the time, because that's what keeps us going. And I'm sure the guides are laughing on the other side, because that's how we get through this whole process. But if it works, that's the most important thing. And it's time that we stop feeding that fear, because that's exactly what the dark want. And that's exactly what we shouldn't give them. They're terrified of us. They're absolutely terrified of what can happen if we all get together. So let's not give them that power.
Absolutely. They truly are. I mean, you know that they're terrified of us because we are their focus, and they're always attacking us. They're always giving us something to be scared of. If they weren't frightened of us, they would be doing the thing, and it would happen. The fact is that no matter what they do, what I'm interested in just lately is that, to create a metaphor for what I see. We've been in a room that was pitch dark for a long time, and we hadn't a clue what was in the room, but we just did our thing. It was in the dark, and then little by little the lights the dimmers being pushed up, and we're starting to see. And of course what we're seeing is that we've been in a room full of monsters and horrible stuff and horrific stuff around us, but we just didn't see it. The very fact that what's happening now is that because the light's getting brighter all the time, people are seeing, and when we see them, and then when we learn to laugh at them, then suddenly there is no danger. There's no danger at all. And what I'm aware of is like things like the World Economic Forum, and it's like they've been the source of a great deal of fear and everything. everybody's been, oh my God, look what they want to do. But now everybody's talking about it so much and laughing about it and pointing the finger and ridiculing them. The ridicule. Yeah. All the power's gone. All the power's gone, and yes, they're still there, and yeah, they're still trying to do the thing, but it's like too late for them. The arse has been ripped out of who they are, So it's just kind of like these marionettes, these weird people that are saying these weird things. So it's like, because we're seeing, we can start doing something about it. And so that process of seeing is a painful one, because you've been comfortable. We've been comfortable in the dark. Yeah, everything's all right. Yeah, it's just life. This is just what we do. And then suddenly we've got to face up. And it's what you were talking about, facing up to the dark side. This is where we are now in this point of revelation. And it's a tough one. But once we get through it, we'll be able to laugh at what we're starting to do now, and laugh a little bit about it.
Yeah, exactly. And, facing the dark and facing what's happening is a trauma, and you've got to face that trauma. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking they're bullies, and you've just got to treat them the way you would treat any other bully. If you keep being terrified and being fearful of a bully, he's going to bully you even more. But if you stand up to them and make fun of them and laugh at them, they've got no power anymore. So exactly.
Well, I believe there are two ways of dealing with a bully, and I think we're doing both of them, one better than the other. So one is that you actually stand up to them. Yeah, you stand up to them and you go, no, and or ridicule them or whatever. And the other one is to completely ignore them, because bullies need your attention. They only pick on people who they're aware that are scared of them, and the people who just don't care. They might have a goal, but the person doesn't care. And I think that's where we need to get to as well. We need to be facing in another direction, facing like you're doing this year. What have I got to do now? What's my role? What's my job here? What have I got to bring to the table? And I think when we're focused on that, the last thing we want to do is be watching what they're doing. I mean, it's the same shit every time. I mean, they don't do anything new. There's nothing new. They just do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, exactly right. And bring in those creation energies, because it's so much fun. Just if you're feeling down, think about, how do I best serve somebody else? How do I help someone else? Because ultimately that's what's going to get you to start to be in that space where you're not even caring about what they're doing anymore, because you're so concerned with helping somebody that's in need, or just being there for somebody. Like, so many people ask me, Harmz, I don't know what my purpose is, but they're making it out to be this great big thing. But you don't have to be doing something. Sometimes you can just be there for somebody and just shining your light, like so many people are at the moment. That's a massive role in itself. So be there and shine that light.
I agree. And you said something very powerful, which is we are, if we are made in the image of God, and we are all part of God, then we're creators. And so for us to be true to ourselves, we have to create. We have to be creating. And I think it's that stagnation of non-creation that actually makes us depressed and sad and without energy. And as soon as we step into creation, whatever that is, as you say, creation can be just helping somebody, can be bringing somebody's energy up, and helping them to get their light to shine. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Service to others, let's call it that.
Absolutely.
That's when we're creating, and that's when we are living like we should, like gods, I suppose. Mini gods, but living like gods. And that's what we have to get back to. The more that we do that, the more we're in our bliss, the faster everything's going to come that we're creating.
Exactly. And when we're in that process, when we're so involved in being that person, in that creation energy, we're not even going to be thinking, oh, 5D, where's 5D? Because we're already going to be on the way there. So,
exactly.
It's absolutely amazing. We don't have to think too much about this process. We just have to be in that process and be creating, and not worrying about those those dark ones behind us.
Exactly, like a journey, isn't it? When you're a kid, and the kids in the back are saying, "Are we nearly there yet? Are we nearly there yet? Are we nearly there yet? Yeah. Are we nearly at 5D? Not yet. Watch the scenery." Yeah. So I think
it all in.
Yeah. We've got to start watching enjoying the journey. I think the journey's the fun bit, really, not the destination, not arriving. Arriving's lovely, but actually the journey's, one of the nicest parts of it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's been difficult, but it's been really beautiful as well, because if it wasn't for this happening, I wouldn't have met so many people.
Yeah.
And so many beautiful people that I haven't even met in person, and their family, to me, their family. And this is such a beautiful thing that we can create with our own soul family. So, I don't feel alone, because I know that there are so many like-minded people around, and you've just got to be brave enough to find them.
Sure. We're many now. We really are many. And yeah, we've got some beautiful groups being created. We on mine with the Peaceful Rebellion group. It's just so many different personalities and so many different ideas about what's happening and what will happen. That's fine. We're all together in it. We're all happy as Larry, and supporting one another. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also why I created the mentoring group in Telegram, because it can be quite a lonely process, especially when you're newly awakening. And it's okay that we don't share meditations all the time, or we don't talk about spiritual stuff all the time. It's spiritual related, but we have fun, and if somebody needs help or assistance, we're there to help them as well. But a lot of it is fun. Just the other day, I think somebody shared a duck show in Australia that we had no idea what it was, and they dressed up all these ducks in clothes and hats. So that makes people laugh, and that keeps the mood lighthearted. And yeah, the people are just amazing. And yeah, wouldn't never have happened if it wasn't for the last 3 years.
Exactly. And at the end of all of this, or wherever it is, there won't be an end. But once we're in the nice bit and we can zoom around the earth without even getting on a plane, we'll have the biggest party in the world. It's going to be the big party.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, Harmz, listen, it's been absolutely wonderful, lovely talking to you, and it's always lovely talking to people who are on a similar vibration. It's beautiful. So if you like, if you would like to talk to Harmz and look at the possibility of having a session with her and transmuting all of your stuff, then the details are in the video. And so thank you very much, Harmz. I wish you every success this year with your courses and with your new projects that you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gordon. And I really appreciate you having me on. And yeah, just everyone just keep going, because we're going to get through this. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Lovely. Okay. So we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.